And we're going to be heavy on the telecom sector this afternoon because mobile operator MTN has revealed that it is in the final stages of reaching a long-term national roaming deal with Telecel. This was captured in an investor update to shareholders. Details in the following report.
The national roaming agreement will ensure that subscribers of Telecel will automatically switch to MTN's infrastructure to avoid service disruption, especially in an area that Telecel has not gotten the required infrastructure to help them make and receive calls, as well as data services. The same will apply to subscribers of MTN. MTN has already finalized a similar deal with mobile operator AT, making it easier for their subscribers to have access to service irrespective of which part of the country they find themselves. The idea, which is pushed by the National Communications Authority, is to ensure that subscribers are not deprived of quality service despite their location. But according to MTN, despite competition, it remains fully committed to this program.
Right, on Zoom with us is lead for Eyes of Africa, Henry Kobler. Good afternoon to you, Henry. So how significant is this news? How does it benefit the government, the telcos, and the public as well?
Thank you very much, Daryl. So, this is a very good policy that NCA relatively is throwing out to the telecoms, and the implementation of it is really going to help us. If you really look at the telecom sector and the competitions, relatively from MTN hitting up with AT and Telecel. One of the things that I was looking out for Telecel to come in, especially with a rebrand, was one of these implementations of this policy, which gives us a credible and quality service. Generally, even if you're off the grid or within the catchment area, should be able to jump onto MTN's network and still be able to make use of the services that either Airtel or either Vodafone or Telecel would relatively give you. And so generally, it gives a very good prospect in the usage and the quality of the service, regardless of the network that one would find themselves in. And again, also to be able to make use of the services which are sitting on it. If you're looking at what MTN relatively portrays, just between the first half of the year, they're declaring almost about 40 billion in terms of the revenues that are coming in from data alone. You can understand that gives a significant portion to them. And being able to have that and being able to now share infrastructure with the other competitive telecoms relatively also gives them some level of leverage, and usually would also now bring in the cost of what you call it, data prices and other services way lower.
All right, let's turn to some other news. Telecel, meantime, looking to increase voice and data charges. I'm not sure about the timing, especially when we've seen a lot of complaints in recent times when MTN was tagged as having some of the lowest prices here on the continent. What do you make of this?
Daryl, just looking at what I had mentioned earlier, MTN is really looking at almost about 55% on data. And so for them to raise the revenue of almost about 4 billion, it gives you a very high sense of how people have become very active with data. If you're looking at MTN's data, generally almost about 15.9% year-on-year active data subscribers. Same could actually be looked at for the other competitors. And so that means that the data market really has a lot to push out. And so if Telecel is looking at being able to decrease its prices to be able to attract more people onto its network, I think that makes a very good sense in terms of business competition points. But again, we're also looking at the quality to it's going to be on. And again, from the very first story, you could understand that being able to jump on other telecoms network would really enhance the usage of the data systems that will be put in place and the infrastructure that would help us to grow. And so for me, generally, policy also makes a very big deal in this. I think that the policymakers really have to sit and look at how they could grow the pointers of the active data usages of the other telecoms rather than use pricing to be the medium to decreasing the monopoly of MTN over the other networks. Decreasing data prices really is going to help us in terms of our drive for digitalization, and I think that it's a good cause. If Telecel is looking in that direction, I'm thinking that the other telecoms would also look.
Is actually looking at increasing data costs, Henry. And I just wonder how much of this borders on operational costs, because we've seen some telcos really struggle and then exit the Ghanaian market.
Yes, so I got your point earlier wrong. I mean, generally, increasing the price of the telecoms is coming in mostly in terms of the operational cost and again, to taxes and, I mean, to the levies that are placed on some of these services, not just the data services alone. And if you're looking at, I mean, I can speak to the data for MTN, even if for the cost, the high cost, you're still looking at year-on-year growth with the usage. And again, you're also looking at almost about 7.5 increase in the megabytes that people are using. So increasing the data cost on that level really gets to be a bit scary. I'm looking at these telecoms, like I mentioned earlier, I'm looking at rather Telecel and other competitive telecoms, rather looking at decreasing the cost to attract more people rather than doing an increase in the cost.
Is that even possible, looking at the state of the economy and the cost of running the operations?
Yes, I mean, generally it's possible. If you're looking at growing the market, it's based on numbers. And so if I'm decreasing the cost of my cost on providing the data for people and I'm increasing my subscriber rate at a higher point, I think that they can relatively make do for that for the usages as well. I mean, just increasing prices does not guarantee that you're going to have a lot of people coming in. It's also depending on the usage of the data for people as well. I mean, right from my office, we've started putting and implementing data usages in the office. And so we're sort of starting to cap the usages of data within the office. And that tells you that if you increase in the data, we're also looking at decreasing the usage of our data right from the offices. And so we've implemented applications that are stopping the usages of auto updates of applications on our mobile phones and our PCs and all of that, which guards the use of data. So increasing it gets scary. We also now start putting in implementations to now safeguard our data usages, and that does not really help businesses in the telecom sector. So again, I think that there are more innovative ways to get to have the monies coming in from the data side rather than just increasing the prices.
Some great advice there. Henry Kobler, lead ISO of Africa, thank you so much for joining us here on the Marketplace. And that's our program, everyone. Thanks for watching. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. We've got news on inflation dropping to 20.9% in July. You want to read more about it. Plus, 1D1F is a brilliant policy, but it should be left for the private sector. That's according to business mogul Mark Dan. myjoyonline.com/business. Thanks for watching. We will be back same time tomorrow.